first of all, when you're looking at where things are with this season, the one thing that I've noticed is theme is very important, and also game to game. Why is it important to have a theme for every game?
Well, it's just something we started doing several years ago. I think when you're coaching young people, you have to make sure that you bring them back to what you really value and care about as a team and as a program. But at the same time, over the course of a long season, you got to do it in different ways. You can't just say it the same way all year long, because there's a boredom that comes with hearing the same thing. And so we just try to come up with different creative ways to deliver a similar message.
When you played Villanova this week, there's a jug and it was full of sticky notes that said what was important now for the guys, and they really focused in on that in that win, where it wasn't an easy game, not that many are, but your team had an edge. How much of a role or inspiration do you think that played, because it was very prominent on that bench?
Well, I think what we try to do with our theme going into every game is find creative ways to keep it at the front of our guys' minds. Over the course of the game, there's just a lot of things that can come up and they can creep in and cloud, players' minds, because it's a high level of competition. The other team wants to win too. The other team has good players too. So we decided to have that picture present with us on the bench, and display it in every time out and talk through, just rededicating ourselves every chance we got to doing what was important now, and specifically what each guy said he would do.
When you look at the way the season has gone out, and I know there's a lot more ahead, why has it seemed so fun? I mean, it seems like your guys are having fun on the court.
Well, I think two reasons. Number one, the relationships that our guys have with each other. We've really tried to prioritize bringing people into our program that value relationships, that care about others, that are energy givers as opposed to energy takers, and guys that truly want to be a part of a team as opposed to using other people to get their individual gain. So that's the first and most important reason. And then I think the second reason it's been fun is, let's be honest, going into the season, not a lot of people, gave us much of a chance to do much of anything in the Big East or nationally. And so there's been a real chip on our shoulder as a program, players, coaches, everyone involved. And there's been an understanding that the only way for us to execute what we want to go do is together and utilizing those relationships that we have.
A slight like that, is that kind of a great central point to be your motivator?
I don't think it's ever something that's going to be central. I think central is the relationships and the commitment to growing and becoming the best you possibly can be, and the commitment to winning. But I do think that when we live in a world that we live in where everyone's so connected via social media, via the phone, via the media, people see what is said, what is written. And you saw Tyler Kolek's reaction at Media Day. That was our team's reaction. And for us, the focus is on the internal side of things. What can we do to be our best? And if other people want to doubt us, or even if other people want to praise us, we're trying to fight to be better than people think.
And maybe this is something from the outside more than the inside, but are you surprised at how quickly this group has come together? They haven't been together that long.
Well, I think, again, we have guys that really care about each other. And I think because of our guys' commitment to each other, every one of them to a man has made major growth and progress in his individual game. And then just as importantly, we've made major progress as a group coming together on the court to, integrate Oso's game with Tyler's game, with Cam's game, with Omax's game, and so on. So I'm not really surprised that that's occurred. I'm really pleased the way that our guys have helped each other. I mean, the reality is, in basketball or any other sport, you got two different type of teams. You got teams that their whole is greater than the sum of their parts, and you have teams where their whole is less than the sum of their parts. And I'm really appreciative that we're one of the teams where our whole is greater than the sum of at least the parts that people thought we had. the way that they valued our parts.
One of those parts, I would say, is Tyler Kolek, and he's now starting to get some recognition after you guys have been stacking these wins, and people are starting to see his play on a regular basis. What makes him so special, and why are so many people late to seeing what he brings?
Well, you know, last year I thought he was as important to our team as anyone else. You know, Justin Lewis got a lot of attention. Daryl Moselle had a really, really good season in his one season with us. But Tyler really made us go in a lot of ways on the offensive end because of his passing. I think a lot of people out there outside of our program maybe didn't give him as much credit as he deserved because he didn't shoot the ball as well last year. And I think he only scored 6-7 points a game. But if you looked at our offense when he was in the game versus when he was out of the game, it was night and day difference. He's as hard a worker as there is. Spent so much time in this building downstairs working on his game, working on his shooting, working on his finishing around the basket. And this season it shows. He's more confident, he's more aggressive, he's getting to the foul line more, he's shooting the ball better from outside, and he's still passing and orchestrating offense as well as he ever has.
When we talk to him, I mean, he's a basketball guy. You get it. He lives it. What is it that we don't see? What makes him special as a person? I mean, because he is so basketball oriented, and we're covering him in that way, but as a person, where does he stand out?
Well, where he's really grown is the way that he is pouring into his teammates and the way that he's effectively mentoring and leading guys that are younger than him. I think that's a big step that he's taken from last year. But what you see is what you get with Tyler. I mean, he is a basketball junkie. He is an ultimate competitor. In a lot of ways, he's very similar to Travis Diener in terms of what Travis brought when he was here from an alpha dog mindset, even playing with D. Wade, but still being, you know, kind of the guy that was in charge out there. And that's Tyler.
You mentioned D. Wade. The 2003 team was here recently. What did that mean to this group to have those guys around and to interact with them?
It was a lot of fun. You know, and I think when things like that happen within and surrounding a program, it's great for everyone involved because the energy and the excitement is at a high level. And that's why every year we want to honor a different Marquette great team. You know, so this year it happened to be the 2003 Final Four team. Our guys were able to spend some time with that team in August when they came back, and it was really, really special for our players to be able to rub elbows with those players from that team and with Coach Crane, and to hear messages from those guys about what made them special. It's amazing how similar it is to the messages that we preach: relationships, pouring into each other, dedication to growth on the practice court and getting better, and then being willing to do all the things that go into winning on a daily basis.
Why is history of Marquette basketball so important to you, and in that case, to pass on to your team?
Well, it's important to me for a few reasons. Number one, you can't feel like you can be your best in the present if you don't have a full understanding and appreciation of the past. And I don't care what it is you're doing, certainly in a basketball program. I mean, we're in the Al McGuire Center. So this place, this building, literally, this program literally was built and put together brick by brick by the players, first and foremost, and the coaches that came before us. And so guys like Bo Ellis, you know, guys like Earl Tatum, guys like George Thompson, D. Wade, Travis Diener, Steve Novak, all those teams, and not just the teams that went to the Final Four or excelled at the highest level, but the guys that came in here and really set a foundation with their blood, sweat, and tears for those guys that came after them to thrive.
My last question for you is, we started this conversation about the theme per game. Is there a theme for the season, or is that more of a goal as you look towards what happens through February and into March?
Yeah, there's a lot of themes for the season. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. So after the season, I can share with you, you know, some of our cultural points of emphasis going into the year. But, you know, our biggest goal is to grow. as much as we can, and as much or more than any team in the country, between the end of the summer, when we got done with our summer program, and the end of the season. And here we are, it's early February, and our guys have done a nice job up to this point, but it's critical over the next several weeks that we continue to get better.